Hello and welcome to Commodity Culture, where our goal is to make you a better investor in the commodity space. My name is Jesse Day. Before we dive in, standard disclaimer, nothing here is investment advice. Do your own due diligence. And today's episode is sponsored by ARC Silver Gold Osmium. They offer personal service and often the lowest price, period, with no minimum purchase for silver, gold, platinum, or osmium. Here's just some of the great things people had to say about ARC SGO and owner Ian Everard on this channel. Have bought from ARC, good source and price. I cannot say enough good about Ian and his company. He is the most honest individual I could find in order to buy precious metals. If you are looking to buy PMs, I recommend Ian at ARC. He is a straight shooter. I purchased a lot of silver from ARC. So visit their website at arcsgo.com. Contact Ian Everard at 307-264-9441 or by email at ian@arcsgo.com for all of your precious metals needs, and make sure to tell him that Commodity Culture sent you. And today's guest is the former president and CEO of Dynegy Europe, where he aided governments in reforming energy markets. He's a strategic advisor to Node 40 and an investor with a wealth of experience in a variety of sectors. It's Gary Cardone. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. And hello to everyone in Serbia.
Yes, most of the viewers actually in USA, but hopefully we will pick up a few here in Serbia. That'd be great.
We don't care about those Yanks. We're just small little country. Rest of the world matters.
I do want to get started with our conversation on the broad market before we dive into commodities. Now, I've had so many guests on this show pointing to the fact that both the S&P, the NASDAQ is massively overvalued and due for a correction. However, people have been saying that for quite a while now, and it keeps on grinding to all-time highs, both of those indices. I'm wondering what your thoughts are here, because I've also had a few conflicting voices say that actually there's a lot of strength underlying the U.S. economy, and this could be the start of a new bull market. So I'm wondering which camp you're in. Do you think we're due for a correction here? Do you think this is a bull market with legs?
I think there is a lot of money sitting on the sidelines from the prior 20 or 30 years of asset appreciation. Many of these assets produce, think about all the apartments, right? All the apartments that have been invested in, they produce. We talk about commercial real estate, but there's a lot of great apartment buildings that, whether they're underwater or not right now, they're still producing distributions. I think those distributions are rolling into other investments. They have to go somewhere. You're not going to stick them in a bank, right? So I just think there's a lot of capital on the sidelines. I was speaking to my brother the other day. There were 57 bids for a $72 million apartment building. So there's, and they're not major institutions. They're families. They're guys with $10 million of free cash. They go get, $40 million worth of debt, and they buy a $75 million project. So, and that makes 5 to 7, 8% yield. While the, 5 years from now, maybe the apartments appreciate in value. You get amortization, you get depreciation. I don't think there's anywhere for money to go. That's why Bitcoin's running so hard, man. And gold's running so hard, and silver's running so hard. Real commodities that people place dollar value on, right? Protect their value. So maybe we just go into this super cycle where everything goes up, no matter what the debt rate is. Just that crazy world, as you say.
Yeah. Well, speaking of living in a crazy world, I'm wondering what your thoughts are when it comes to the geopolitical landscape, the impact that might have on financial markets, maybe in particular commodities as well, because as we are seeing global conflict accelerate seemingly, this could have implications for the gold price. Perhaps it's part of the reason that the gold price has moved. It has implications for oil, obviously. I'm wondering what your thoughts are. Do you think we're going to continue to see conflict accelerate? I've heard you in some other interviews say that you think that war is going to expand. So Maybe you could give us your thoughts there and specifically how it might affect financial markets as well.
Yeah, if I look at the gold charts, Jesse, if I look at the oil charts, if I look at all these charts, they look like war charts. They look like, well, and then, then there's news of pipelines just blowing up miraculously, dams being blown up in the Ukraine. Uh, Dude, we just seem like we're in this cycle where we want whoever the leaders are of these whoever the leaders are on this planet, it appears to me like these people have gone absolutely crazy. They must have been invited to many P. Diddy parties, and they've gone crazy. They like, I don't, for me, I wish America would start making a rule that if we send weapons somewhere or we send money somewhere, we also send our children. And I think that the mothers and the fathers would vote very differently when it's not a tank we're sending there or some dollars, but actually we're sending children. They get their arms blown off, their faces removed. And then let's see how much we want to go to war. I personally would rather pay more tax than go to war. And quite frankly, I'd rather pay $300 for crude oil, $11 for gasoline, $1,500 for power than this continual, let's go invade a country, let's stir people up, let's take over turn them into puppets. This is not working anymore, okay? This is my thesis. My thesis is every construct on planet Earth that was developed in the 20th century, 19th and 20th century. What is a construct? A construct is a thought process that I pull up in my mind. I then will convince other people, hey, you be my ally. In 1920, I needed allies to help me to get crude production all over the world. So what did I do? I went and got a deal with OPEC. And I said, OPEC, listen, I'll protect you with lots of weapons if you make sure that all the crude oil comes my way first, and we're going to price these in dollars, US dollars. These constructs are falling apart. Man, look at Europe. Europe went into the Eurozone in the 90s or late 80s probably, and they didn't make everybody use the same money. The Brits had their money and the Swiss had their money, and we slam a bunch of cultures together and pretend like they're all going to get together, forgetting that there have been 4,000 years of rape, pillage, and war. Kings and queens doing really funky things to each other. And there's a lot of memory there, okay? I appreciate Americans don't have a good grasp on European history or Middle Eastern history or Eastern history, but y'all do. Y'all remember what the French did in 1622. You just can't forget about it, right? So I think it's a failed experiment, man. All these constructs, and they were designed to play a monopoly game. That game is falling apart. Every player on the monopoly table has a stack of paper this big, man. And they just keep wanting, hey, I need a bigger stack, a bigger stack. You know, the problem with Monopoly is that most people never, ever finish the game Monopoly. Like find me 3 people that finish the game Monopoly. They get tired of the game. They go, fuck it. And so I think this game has to, like literally the rules have to be rewritten. All the members on the board are being reshuffled. The whole power sink on energy is being disrupted. And we are meddling in things that we do not fully understand the consequences of that meddling. So sooner or later, we're going to have to pay for our sins, man. I just think it's really, really, really basic. So geopolitically, we are totally messed up right now. And what I hope the reason I do a lot of these is because I think that people need to become educated as to what's really, really happening on this planet. And we have to be willing to start speaking out, like really speaking out, willing to be okay with being sanctioned or censored, or like I think censorship is the worst thing that can happen to anyone. And that we are either going to be censored or we're going to fight to not be censored. One of those things is happening, okay? If we don't fight, dude, it's going to get taken away from us. It just makes sense that it would be taken. If I was the king and I could censor you, I would. Right? I would, because that's what my advisors are going to tell me to do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
For the sake of the Cardone legacy, right? For the sake of the Cardone legacy, and like all you people in Serbia really would be better off. Just let me and my team handle it. We know what you need. Like it would go to my mind, man. Like this is the problem with power, right? So we're in very, very interesting times. I think these are this is an opportunity where families are going to change the entire trajectory of their future. And that doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be a good thing, right? It could be a bad thing. Like if you're not thinking about where you're headed, you're probably not going to end up on the right side of this game.
Yeah, very well said. And honestly, why I find myself in Serbia, I'm from Canada originally. I did not like the way things were going in that country, the policies being implemented, and so I relocated here. How does this whole debt-based system is the only way out collapse at this point? Is first of all, are a lot of these problems with wars and all this conflict going on, is that just kind of a result of the debt-based system, the fiat currency regime? And how does this all end? Is it inevitable that we need to face massive turmoil and hopefully come through it on the other end and rise from the ashes, so to speak, and hopefully rebuild things into a more honest system?
I'm not. I know a lot of Bitcoiners talk about that the dollar, the printing capability, the fiat system is the actual cause. I think the fiat system is a. I don't look. I have some debt. I have some debt on this house. I don't go to war. Right? Like, if I have debt and I'm not an asshole, I'm probably not going to war. Okay. I think the problem is we're voting for psychopaths to run our countries. These people are not people that we like. Why would I vote for somebody to be president of the United States when I would not even trust them around my children? Like I'm going to invite. If I vote for someone, I'm going to invite them into my home. I will not vote for anyone that I couldn't bring into my home and not be worried about my children being touched. And I think that like we can talk about the money, but the truth is we're voting the wrong people in. These are psychopaths, okay? They're crazy people. They're 10 years too long. It's a club, man. Like Washington, D.C. now is, you're 24 years old. Those are the kids that are running these bills. 24, 28-year-old kids. And there's a whole system now. So I think it's about the people. And I think, one of the things that I found very, very interesting about Bitcoin, for instance, was like if I ran for office, one of the things I would run on would be, hey, why don't we put a third or 40% of the entire government's budget on blockchain so everyone can see it? What is there to hide here? And I think we're going to have a tale of two worlds. Like I'm a big proponent of CBDCs. Everybody's terrified of CBDCs. I'm like, dude, this is going to be awesome. Okay. CBDCs that are closed source, don't really know what's really happening. And we have and we have Bitcoin that has an open source. So which one do you want? You want the one that's you can see into, or you want the one you want the private blockchain, or you want the public blockchain? I like the public blockchain. So it's man, you guys, your age, y'all have to put your foot down, man. Really, like what you're doing. Hey, I cannot tell you how many people in Canada are so angry, but y'all don't ever do anything. You become so passive. I commend you for leaving, man. I commend you for leaving. We're starting to see that now. We're seeing very wealthy people from California leave. For 15 years, I've been saying California is going to lose all its rich people. And then what? And then what? Okay. New York's going to lose all its rich people. And then what? How do you tax the poor? You can't tax them anymore. They're done, dude. 15% of the nation is totally poor, right? And that's just talking about our rich nation. Our poor people make your poor people look, we're rich compared to your poor people. What's Italy's unemployment rate from 18 to 28 is like 40%, man. I mean, think about that, okay? Italy won't even have a generation of workers in 5 years. They don't even know how to show up to work at 8:30 in the morning, man. Much less clean the Coliseum. Which, by the way, what are those tickets going to become? To go see these artifacts, it's going to cost $1,000 to go see the artifacts, because who's going to keep cleaning them? Like, the cost of fixing something that's eroding every day when you don't even have a population of people. This is why I'm really excited about AI, because I think AI really solves the problem of Italy. If you use Italy as an example of, wow, 18 to 28 years old, you have 40% unemployment, man. You have literally 40% of your youth are not becoming skilled at showing up to work, showing up on time, leaving, producing, creating, doing none of that. And that's a skill that I've learned over 50 years. Like, you go to work when you don't want to go to work, you make some money, you make a contribution, hopefully you make a little money, you work through whatever challenge you have in life. So I think we've lost our way, man. And we've lost our way, really. And that should be that. Hopefully that's good, because I think when you lose your way, you get to a point where you go, okay, do I want to go to war, or am I willing to stand up? Am I going to become a robot? Like, if you don't see where this is going, just sitting in your couch watching CNN and complaining is not going to accomplish anything. So we have a few windows. We have a few windows to jump through here that I think could be life altering for those people who see the tea leaves and they start making moves, right? They start doing things that other people are not doing. Somebody asked me the other day, I'm sorry if we got off track here, but somebody said, hey, what advice would you give anyone? What's the best advice you can give anyone, whatever age they are? And my answer is always the same. Never, ever get in a line to do anything. If there's a bunch of people trying to go somewhere, if there's a bunch of people going to McDonald's, the food might not be good there, man.
Yeah, that is very good advice.
Okay. Like if there's a big old, why is it in Europe that on the M25 in England, that left lane just gets stacked up with people, and the right lane's wide open, man? People love standing in line. Don't follow the group. The group are usually wrong. Like usually a very, very high percentage.
I want to highlight one of the things you said, which is the politicians in charge being psychopaths. I think to some extent that is clinically true, not just as a term of, oh, they're crazy, they're doing crazy things. I think many of them would be clinically diagnosed as literal psychopaths, sociopaths, if one was to actually go about something like that. So I just think that the general public has such a tough time wrapping their head around the fact that people who completely lack morality and a conscience could be in charge of their government. And I think they find that so terrifying that the alternative is to kind of play along and pretend that everything's okay. So fascinating. Really appreciated that from you. I do want to dive into some different commodities here for a moment, starting with silver. I recently saw you in an interview, I believe it was with Michelle McCory and Gareth Soloway, where you talked about how you were quite bullish on silver at present. So break down how you see silver position, because obviously gold hitting all-time highs, continuing to show strength. A lot of people feel disappointed in silver. So how do you see the silver market playing out?
Well, I mean, I think why are people disappointed in silver? Silver's done well. I don't think it's done terribly. I think gold's been the laggard, quite frankly, until recently.
Interesting.
I bought gold and silver back in 2011. Thank you very much. 2011, and gold compared to Bitcoin in 2011 has performed very poorly. Gold compared to Nvidia has performed exceptionally poor. And I have been actually thinking that there's been some rotation from the old gold guys into Bitcoin. I'm not talking about the sovereigns, but the gold, the gold bugs. And I know some of these guys, they are beginning to convert. But I think what you're seeing is silver, gold, Bitcoin are all telling you, hey, there's a problem out there in the market. People are scared. Silver's up. I bought silver at 11. It's moved $2 in the last 2 months, from 23 to 25. I literally have 23,700 ounces here. I was moving, and the shit's so heavy to move. It's such a problem to move. By the time I got it from this side of my house, now I do have a large house, but by the time we got it from this side of my house to the garage, it's about 70, 80 feet. Stuff's now sitting in the garage, 23,700. Now, if you want to come here and try to rip me off, that's going to be really painful for you. It's going to be one, good luck on removing it all. Like, it's heavy. You're going to have cameras all over you. And that's assuming you're not laying on your back with a bullet in your face and dogs biting you, as you heard earlier. But I did not. I actually paused the sale. I was going to move it into Bitcoin. I mean, it's $750,000 worth of silver, right? Because I've got some buddies telling me, hey, look, man, these charts look like silver could explode. Like, by explode, they're talking about double and triple from where it's at. Now, I think if that happens, we have a lot of issues. That would scare me, actually. $50 silver. That would be what? Gold at 6 or 7,000. It's hard for me to imagine those numbers. Crude oil is moving. Why? Because the U.S. dollar's trashed, and nat gas is at near 30-year lows. Okay, when I started my career in natural gas, nat gas was trading at $7.67. Man, it's $1.75 today. Shows you what technology can do. See, I really believe you look at nat gas and crude oil, you will understand what technology can do. And those commodities, natural gas, crude oil, silver, and gold, really are very good base commodities to look at when you're trying to understand Bitcoin, because it really gives you, what's the difference between these? And there are very significant differences between Bitcoin and, say, silver and gold or crude oil. So yeah, I think it'll continue to show the world that, one, we probably need silver as a metal for future technology. Probably need gold also, but whether or not people are going to use gold and silver in the future for the dollar indexing purpose they've used it for before, they've never had a Bitcoin. So we'll see how much of this gets taken over by Bitcoin. But you would think that if something that's a lot easier to transport, I would have already sold my Bitcoin if I had to transport it 50 feet, right? It wouldn't have been a 50-foot move. It'd have been on a computer, poof, poof. 2 seconds later, I'd be out. When people figure out how easy it is to move this stuff, like we talk about the complexity of Bitcoin and moving it off at wallet, the complexity of moving 23,000 ounces of silver is problematic. I mean, it's very problematic, right? I have to put it in. It's easy to buy it. It's a lot harder to sell it, to liquidate it. So yeah, it looks like it's strong, man.
Interesting. I wonder, you touched there on silver being used for industrial purposes. Obviously, it's used in almost everything, one of the most used commodities on the planet. A lot of people are pointing to solar panels, EVs, kind of the ESG energy transition movement as being a big potential catalyst for silver's industrial use. A lot of people say the same thing about copper. And then, of course, that's not counting the battery metals, cobalt, lithium, etc. I wonder what your thoughts are there. I personally think that the energy transition is not working out the way that the political elites who initiated it want us to believe. And I just think that that sort of that sort of demand I don't calculate into my own thesis when it comes to the commodities, those particular commodities. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the future of this energy transition and so-called renewable energy and its potential demand or lack thereof for these commodities.
Well, the energy transition that people have been talking about is absolutely not going to happen. It's a pipe dream. Good luck, guys, on building a Tesla without natural gas or crude. You greenies, okay? With all due respect, just look around your room, look around your house. Most everything in your house, in your car, is made up of petroleum. So you are a petroleum junkie. You're using the stuff just like I am. You want to pretend like you can grab very transient power from wind and water, sun when it's not cloudy. You guys have become so spoiled on $80 crude oil and $1.80 gas, nat gas, and $3 gasoline. It's ridiculous. Really, you've lost your way. Okay, if I ask one question to your whole audience, most people would get this wrong. How many people on this planet still cook with wood? Okay, your audience literally will get this so wrong because it represents how spoiled we are, how completely out of touch with reality. 40% of the world today still cooks on wood, man. Okay, when was the last time you and I cooked anything on wood? At a picnic that we were bringing to our kids. It was a camping experience. It was a fun deal, dude. Hey, let's live like the other people, right? We're completely out of touch with how we live compared to most people. So, yeah, I don't get it, man. I mean, I don't get it. I'm trying to buy a car right now. I'm a fairly wealthy guy. I'm like, wow, G-Wagons cost $210,000. There's 4,000 of them available for sale, but I can't get anybody to discount one. Range Rover's going for $30,000 and $40,000 over list. But there's 12 of them available for sale locally. And I refuse to buy them. I'm like, I'm not paying anything over list. That's ridiculous. Yet, all my friends have them. Now, they don't have my life, okay? I'm pretty sure they have debt on every one of these guys, okay? Ferraris, this car, that car. I'm like, my God, where do you guys get all your money? Well, the truth is they don't have the money, okay? They're doing debt at 8%, 12%, 15%. Credit cards are maxed out, man, at 23%, okay? I do a lot of stuff on Bitcoin education. The first thing is, if you have any debt, what the hell are you doing in this room? Why are you buying Bitcoin if you have debt, right? You do not borrow money on a credit card and then go buy Bitcoin. You don't buy Bitcoin and invest money in anything, including NVIDIA, if you have 23% credit card debt. What the fuck are you guys doing, right? You should sue the schools and your parents for mistreating you with education. This is really, to me, it's like, oh my God, what happened to people? I mean, I argue with people when I tell them that a home is not an investment. And they argue with me. I'm like, dude, there is no scenario where a house is a good investment ever unless you bought it right. The time you make money on a house is only two times. You had to buy it right and you had to sell it at the very peak moment. Like most houses that I have bought, within 4 months, I've already enjoyed most of the value that I'm ever going to enjoy in that house, right? And then I hold on to it for another 4 years and go, oh, look, I bought a house for $1.7 million. Now it's worth 2.4. That was a bad trade, dude. That was a horrific trade 3 years later, right? Mortgage, maintenance, lawn mowing, roof repairs, all this stuff, right? Taxes that nobody even thinks. When you rent a home, you don't pay tax. Okay. And then 72% of the people in America own a home, man. That's ridiculous. Okay. That's the same in Canada too. And they're going to get crushed. Right now, owning a home, do we really own a home? No, we own a debt. We own a mortgage, and we owe a government. We must pay the tax on that home, or we no longer own that home. Okay. Well, that does not happen to me with other things. If I have $1 million worth of gold, nobody's taxing me every year on my gold. It's taken up real estate right here or in a vault somewhere. If I own NVIDIA, I don't pay taxes every year on it. I only pay it when I sell it. So homes are a horrible investment. We've miseducated. The homes are a deal for the banks, man. And house prices wouldn't be anywhere near where they are if you couldn't borrow 75% of every dollar that it costs to buy the house. My brother's a big real estate guy. And I'm like, bro, first off, the only reason these real estate properties are increasing in value is because the US dollar that it's based on is getting trashed. And people just don't understand what that means, right? Until you explain to them, hey, do you like apples? Yeah, I love apples. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to dump 10 million apples into your backyard tomorrow morning. You're not going to like apples, dude. Okay. You are going to pay someone to get rid of all those apples. That is what inflation is. Love one apple. Uh-oh. Somebody cloned 1 million apples, dumped them in my front yard. I no longer love apples. Well, that is the US dollar. 40%, 40, of all the US dollars ever created in humanity in the last 130 years were created in the last 4 years, man. Okay, 6 out of the 10 $10 bills that anybody has in their wallet right now, if they even have $10 bills, or have Steve Mnuchin's name on them as Treasury Secretary. Like, that's all you got to do. Look at, oh, wow, look, Steve Mnuchin. See, oh, yeah, that was Trump's deal, dude. Trump produced a lot of money, and he'll do it again, too. He will print like a machine. And guess what? You guys all will love it. You want them to print. Until we get honest that we love people printing money, especially the rich, I love them doing this stuff, dude. I get richer and richer and richer by them doing this. It doesn't help you guys, though. It really fucks you up, okay? And I don't want to have an advantage. I don't. I'm just telling you the truth, though. The super rich, we want them to print. We actually think you want them to print, too. Not so much you, because you're in Serbia. You won't even enjoy any of it. But the guy working at McDonald's does want them to print because he wants his little $1,800, which is really a shame, right? He's going to get the $1,800, but he's going to get screwed in the process.
Do you think that there is an opportunity right now in the energy markets with this whole push towards ESG, all of these different institutions deciding they don't want to invest in oil right now, leading to huge underinvestment, people believing that oil and gas are going away and that we've surpassed peak demand, it's only downhill from here? Obviously, all of this is nonsense for people who've done their research into the matter. But do you think maybe this presents an opportunity? Because a lot of the oil equities and natural gas equities look undervalued at this point.
It's very interesting you say that. I was looking at ExxonMobil's multiples the other day. Let's assume NVIDIA's multiple is pretty much infinite. Google's multiple is, I think, 20. ExxonMobil's 11. Facebook will be 118. Bitcoin, don't even know what Bitcoin's multiple is because it doesn't really have one. Where I'm getting to is, why is it that ExxonMobil trades at around 11? Saudi Aramco, the largest energy sovereign on the planet, trades at about 15, 16 times cash earnings. If NVIDIA trades at such a massive valuation, even Google at 2x of Exxon, what would their multiple be if all the energy stopped flowing? It would be zero. Okay, there wouldn't be a Google if the energy stopped flowing. So I think something's really bizarre here, right? You got energy, which is the feedstock of the entire internet, the entire technology platform, trading at this really weird multiple. Now, I'm not suggesting that ExxonMobil is going to ever trade at a 50 multiple, but I'll tell you what ExxonMobil is going to do. They're going to mine Bitcoin. They're going to do everything they can to get into technology, not just to mine Bitcoin and the value of mining Bitcoin, and that they have the ability to put it on their balance sheet and be very, very comfortable. They've been holding commodities on their balance sheet forever, dude. They're happy with the risk too. If you go to ExxonMobil and say, hey, what's your hedge strategy? Hey, we have shareholders that want exposure to crude oil and other energy commodities. We don't do a lot of hedging. Price is up, we're good. When the price is down, we're not so good. So they've done survey after survey after survey of their investors, their shareholders, and they all say, no, just keep the commodity risk. We've got our book with all our other business somewhere else. That means to me they will be very comfortable with Bitcoin. Secondly, they will be able to take energy they're not selling into the market today, which will be extremely ESG, whatever the fuck that means. I got to tell you, that's the biggest scam in the history of mankind, ESG. Like, we have so much plastic sitting in the waters. Like, hey, man, let's clean some stuff up before we start getting all religious here, puritanical. And by the way, Jesse, who's going to pay for all this? Okay, like, go get it, man. Go get on solar. I mean, I have Bitcoin people, friends that have 10,000 Bitcoin. They live in the middle of a jungle with Wi-Fi at 2x speed. I'm at 10x, and they don't have any AC. They're worth $400 million or whatever. I don't really want that life. Okay, I'd rather have I would like civility, right? I like an air conditioning unit. I like nice highways. I'm okay with paying taxes for some of this stuff, but it's clearly not going to the infrastructure in our countries. It's going to something else. So this thing about the energy complex going away, that's just not going to happen, man. I mean, it's just really ridiculous. Our entire civilization, if you're a first, second, or third world nation, literally you're there because of how dense your energy sources are. How much you have is more important than how much it costs to produce. So we happen to have a lot, and we produce a lot, and it's at a cheap price. Why? Because we focused on it. Europe, they won't let you drill anywhere, just like California did. Okay, cool. You guys just don't drill anywhere. Now, they don't have a lot of resources. This is why I say the European Union is completely fucked here. Excuse my language, but there is no other better word for it. The Eurozone produces nothing other than immigrants and like mass untrackable migration of cultures all over the world, which is cool, except for the untracking part. Like, whoa, what's happening here? It'd be cool if all these people were actually going into your country and assimilating your religion, assimilating your culture, assimilating your food, assimilating your language. But no, that is not what's happening. Okay, there's bifurcation of little cultures inside of all these countries. Going to London now, there's little cities inside of cities, and they're not policed. Okay, like this is a train wreck, man. So, and it's just not about crude oil and natural gas, right? It's about, I mean, you get in Europe, you guys pay $11 for gasoline, and it controls your behavior. Here, they're paying $2.20 and driving all over the place, doing whatever they want to do for a loaf of bread, man. No one turns their laptop computer off. When was the last time you turned your computer off at 11 o'clock at night? Never. That means electricity is too cheap. See, this is the cool thing about the future. The future is going to measure what we do. You know, this guy Klaus said, hey, we will rent everything and be happy. I think we will rent everything. I don't know about the happy part, but we will rent everything. We will trace, track, account, and value every minute in the future. And people I know have a really hard time with this concept, and it's because we will be able to. We have never been able to track every event. An automobile, talk about ESG, okay? It should be illegal for you and me to own a car. We use it 4% of the time. 4% of the time. And then, dude, it gets worse, right? We build a garage to put it in. Okay. Bricks that required energy and plaster and paint and wiring. I mean, I got a whole 800, I got two of them. Okay. Does that make any sense? We create a little house to put our car in that we use 4% of the time. It's a weird world. Like we just got here. I don't know how we got here, but we're here now. I think we're gonna have technology through digitization that allows us to understand what all this is really costing us.
Very interesting thoughts. I want to close by honing in on Bitcoin here. A lot of viewers of this show, hardcore gold bugs, silver bugs, absolutely hate Bitcoin for whatever reason. Bitcoin's actually the first thing I ever invested in. And actually it's Bitcoin that led me to silver, that led me to gold. So I'm kind of unusual in that case, but I wonder if you could kind of present your investment thesis for Bitcoin at this point in time. And do you think that Bitcoin could someday eat gold's lunch, so to speak, and become the preferred premier sound money asset? Or do you think gold will always play a role, perhaps alongside Bitcoin?
You know, maybe that's the problem with the gold, silver community. Maybe we posed the question incorrectly, right? Like, first off, I think this idea of hyper Bitcoin, I can't even say the word, hyper Bitcoinization. I think is a very, very, very bad. Like, I would like to ask all the gold and silver people to forgive me as a Bitcoin person, and I am a Bitcoin first guy. For the poor marketing and promotion that we've given the world.
Yes, I agree.
Decentralization has a tremendous amount of benefits, but one of the huge negatives is that it really creates a very bad message. Okay, there is no central authority on the messaging. So when you gold and silver guys were first given the messaging, you had a few leaders that came out and said, look, this is what gold means. This is standard of money. And you had a message, right? In Bitcoin, you've had 3 or 4 different messages. You know, you have to own your own keys. Central banks are evil. If you don't have your money, you can't, people can hurt you. First off, no bank has ever stolen anything from me except my time. I got to make a phone call for a wire transfer so that they don't get sued. That's 20 minutes. I've made so many of those calls. I mean, it's probably a full month now. But I've never gotten squeezed by a bank. That doesn't mean that it can't happen, and it has happened to other people, usually the very poor. It happened in Greece. People forget on Wednesday before Friday when Greece took 30 cents of your every dollar you had. They probably called all the oligarchs and said, hey, man, you might want to get out before Thursday. See, that's the problem with the system. So let's just think. I have been very, very, very surprised. And I'm speaking to Bitcoin, to gold, silver, and real estate players. And I'm one of you, okay? I own real estate. I own gold. I own silver. I do not own natural gas, do not own crude oil. I think crude oil has absolutely seen its heyday. We will never see $150 crude oil in my lifetime, ever, okay? I look at Bitcoin and go, hey, look, why did I buy gold and silver? Because they were finite and couldn't be produced quickly. You couldn't accelerate the supply of Bitcoin, of gold or silver rapidly in the event of a problem. Now, the truth is, if the price goes up too much, I can probably extract it off people's necks, out of their teeth. That's probably $3 trillion. Bitcoin seems to be attempting to take out every market cap of everything. Like, I wouldn't worry about the gold right now. It's already taken out silver. Nobody want to talk about it. So we're at $1.4 trillion valuation today. We are 15 years into its life, long enough now to go, whoa, 15 years is not 5 years, it's 15 years. We have a chart that it's tracked. I remove the first 5 years and go, those don't even count. I don't do that to gold though. I do not do that to go, oh, well, $34. I'm not counting anything before the $34 squeeze, right? It was at 20 and then the government took it all away from you. Well, is that true? That's not true. They only confiscated 13% of all the gold in the United States. They were not successful at confiscating, and they're not going to be successful at confiscating Bitcoin or guns or anything else. They've tried to do this over and over. They can't even confiscate drugs. So, like, none of this works, guys. You should not be worried about these psychopaths actually accomplishing anything other than when you get in line and say, yes, yes, yes. Remember the old line I talked about? Don't get in that line, man, okay? The TSA is the problem. They create big lines. So I look at this and go, have I ever seen, other than meeting Jesse, you're the only thing I'm going to meet today that looks, tastes, smells identical like you. Humanity has not learned how to treat you, a unique, finite, not going to be cloned ever, unique Jesse. I don't even know how to take care of you and treat you, dude. We kill each other. We fight each other in the streets. Bitcoin comes along and we don't know what to do with it. Okay. It's 21 million units. Ain't going to ever be more than 21 million. You cannot accelerate the supply of these no matter what the price is. You put $200,000 on Bitcoin right now, and there's nothing that's going to happen. There's only going to be 900 Bitcoin produced today. And on April the 20th, around 2:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that 900 units goes to 425. Okay. 425 units. There's already 19 million units in the market. It's not like there's going to be, now you have to, 80% of those 19 million units are sitting in people's hands that don't want to sell it. And they've made a lot of money on it. And they're not central bankers. They're actually, some of these people are worth more than your country. Ooh, we never had that before. We never had Jack Dorsey's and Elon Musk before where, oh, wow, they're $1 billion, dude. They can buy anything they want. So I look at Bitcoin and go, other than the bad marketing, okay, if you're a gold guy and a silver guy, try to move 23,700 ounces of silver or gold right now. Like, I don't want to put that on my airplane, dude. Like, it's really heavy, okay? Much less putting it on your person. So I've been very, very surprised, other than the tribal nature and the bad marketing and we're idiots and you got people going, Bitcoin's going to flip gold. It probably is going to flip everything one day, but why do you use it like that? I don't say real estate's going to flip. Residential real estate's going to get flipped by commercial, like it's some competition. Now, to your point, I think you said it just a little earlier. I actually have this thesis. I think you said it around energy, which says that, and you gold guys may like this. What if, notice the Rolex watch market. Have you been watching? Dude, it's getting crushed right now, okay? I watch two things, luxury everything, luxury cars, luxury watches, and then jets, private jets, okay? During COVID, I could have bought 37 jets for about half the price they are right now. Okay. Even the charter, you can see how third-party charter services, the supply and demand just work in the market. This is my point. Let's pretend like you or me, you or I are a sheik, a Saudi sheik. We can buy anything we want. I have all the villas I can possibly want. I have all the airplanes, all the buses, all the weapons, all the watches, all the girls, all the villas, all the houses, all the islands. Dude, I'm already at max consumption. I have max consumed everything. I have all the gold I can want, a silver, Okay. I have everything, but I don't have any Bitcoin. Now, 6,000 Rolls Royces, you gold people, are sold a year. Okay. At $500,000 each. I'm not going to ever buy a Rolls Royce. Okay. 500 grand. I'm not buying it. Thousands of 60 and $70 million airplanes are sold to private. Okay. 70 million, that's 1,000 Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure people are going to be calling up. This is what you should be worried about if you're a gold guy. Hey, I'll take 1,000 Bitcoin. Y'all are talking about 1% or 2%. Fuck 1 or 2%. I'll take an airplane's worth, please. I'll take a BBJ style. Oh, I'll take 140 million. Yeah, I'll double it. I need 2 of them. My wife needs one. I need one. And they don't even have to sell anything, dude. They don't have to sell anything. There are 62 million. So don't make this about Bitcoiners. There are 62 million millionaires. Okay. They make an allocation of $2,500 only to Bitcoin. That's 1 ounce of gold, right? 1 ounce of gold. That's 23 million Bitcoin, dude. There's only 21. I think I'm actually wrong on my math, but you guys do the math, okay? $70,000 Bitcoin, $2,500 per millionaire, which is an extremely low allocation. 62 million millionaires allocate $2,500. It's a monster number. Now let's get to the real story, okay? There are 406,000 ultra wealthy families defined as over 30 million. What if they make a $250,000 allocation? 10x of the millionaires. That sounds right, right? I actually think it's massively wrong. Okay. They're not going to deploy 250 and you get a K1. A K1 is a reporting record. I have to pay someone to manage these K1s. I'm not doing that, dude. It's got to be $2 million. So even the 406,000 families, if you do the 250,000, like it's millions of Bitcoin. So, and these people, I'm using one allocation in their entire lifetime. This is before the institutions, the JP Morgans trade. This is just super rich people. Now, you guys may be offended that I'm saying this about the super rich people, but it was never going to be Nigeria that drove Bitcoin. Yes, I'll take 12 cents, please. These people, if you believe my thesis that we're at max consumption, and you also think, hey, most of these rich people like me, I'm getting distributions, man. I'll never have to work another day in my life. I get so many distributions. I am a Bitcoin miner. I'm the most successful Bitcoin miner in the history of Bitcoin mining, and I've never owned a data center, and I probably never will. Why? I take analog assets like real estate or other private equity deals that I do. I then take the distributions from that analog and I invest it in Bitcoin, dude. I use trash fiat that's being produced by analog assets. I then go buy Bitcoin, bypass the whole mining experience, just buy it right off the market, stick it in my wallet, and I'm good to go. That's the most successful mining. And I think if you look at MicroStrategy, look at some of these people doing this, okay? This is exactly what they're doing. They're looking at it going, well, I could go mine this stuff. Why would you mine it when you could buy it? Right? Exactly similar to the gold silver thing. Hey, can I really produce silver at a profit at 23, 24, 25? I don't think so. Not a good profit, dude. All that capital. So, and it's very much like oil producers. You know, oil producers are like, damn, it's good when it's 120, but when it's 45, I'm not doing really well. Yeah, it's a scale game. That's why there'll be less producers of energy in the future, and there'll be less producers of Bitcoin in the future. And I think they're going to be the same people. They're going to be sovereigns, super long fossil, super long nukes, super long solar or wind, which is a lot of people. They just don't have distribution for it. It shit's in the wrong place, right? Like nobody in Texas wants wind power, man, except the windmill makers. They don't. It's not the kind of power we need. So it's hard for me to get buried. I would love to come on your show if you have someone that's, because I'm very legit. I don't want to argue. I'm happy to argue. I'm not going to degrade anyone's viewpoint. I would love to have a conversation about why this could possibly be wrong.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have Peter Schiff would be the perfect guy to chat with you about that. I'm gonna be interviewing him in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, not if he's closed-minded though. Like I would like to really have a really logical. See, for me, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong right now. Okay, like you can walk me off my cliff, but you have to you can't just say, well, wow, gosh, gold's up 25 cents and that's $200 million. Okay, dude, Nvidia went up $250 billion in one day. $250 billion. Okay, that would be a 20% move for Bitcoin in one day, 12 hours. Okay, and the scary thing is, dude, all 300 analysts missed it. I thought markets were perfect. I thought markets were efficient. How could you miss $250 billion move, dude? One day. Nothing changed for Nvidia. Zero changed. Zero. So this is what we just might be in this hyper cycle, dude. Like not all stocks are terrible, right? There's 5 or 6 or 7 that have been doing really well. Now the rest of it, I'm not so sure, right? I'm not gonna for me, our analog age is done. The future is going to be digitization. We're never going back to the 8-track tape. Okay, never. It's only going to get compressed more and more and more. Look what we're doing right here. Look at what we're doing. We are doing something we could not have imagined 10 years ago. The quality, that we're talking to each other, cool, but dude, the quality is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Very fascinating points. And I think you've broken Bitcoin down different than anybody else I've spoken with. Would love to get you on a constructive debate with somebody. So I'm definitely gonna think about that. Maybe Peter Schiff is not the guy, but there's somebody out there.
No, I'm happy. I've met Peter in PR.
Yeah,
I'm happy to do anyone.
cool.
I'll do 10 people at one time. Let's just, but you have to have hey guys, if I would have told you that I could carry all the 8-track tapes ever created in the history of mankind back in the 80s on a little device this big, you'd have been like, bro, come on, what are you smoking, man? If we're digitizing planet Earth, we're not going to use gold. Sorry, guys. We're not going to use crude oil. We're not going to use silver. We're going to use some other form of being able to track micro transactions. Me buying, what's the name of that gold that's, the little tiny
gold
grams?
Backs? Yeah, gold backs. The bills.
The Valkyries, those little credit card things you snip off. It's cool, dude, if you want to pay $4,000 for an ounce of gold. I don't have to do that with Bitcoin. I can buy, I can, Bitcoin to me is like this beautiful woman that never gets old. She never complains. She's a little volatile, okay? She's got this chart that the gold guys don't have a volatile chart, right? She's a little volatile. She goes up 600% every 5 years. And I can steal little pieces off, and I don't have to steal it, dude. I just take a little pop off of her and send it to you. She doesn't even get offended. She doesn't care if I prostitute her out. So gold, I can't do that with gold without paying somebody a lot of money, 40% premium for that little tiny thing. You start thinking about it that way. You're like, oh, wow, man, that's interesting. I have something now I can cut up into little tiny pieces, move it very rapidly, and it's not at any greater cost. That's never been done before. Wholesale is retail. Remember that old rule? Well, the wholesale price is $187, but you get to pay $250. No, dude, everybody pays wholesale. And I get to invest in a monopoly that has no regulatory risk whatsoever. If Barrick, is it Barrick Gold?
Yep.
Yeah. If Barrick tried to buy all the gold in the United States and lock it up, it would be a monopoly, right?
Yeah.
You and I get to invest in Bitcoin, dude. No board, nobody to send a letter to. Total monopoly.
That's very
One of a
fascinating.
kind, and no regulatory exposure whatsoever. I've been looking for a deal like this for 40 years of my life, man.
Well, Gary, this has been an incredible conversation. Loved having you on. For those who want to hear more from you, where's the best place to go online? I know you have a YouTube channel. Is that the best place to direct people?
YouTube, Twitter, at Gary Cardone, LinkedIn. It's easy to find me. Just be careful of clones and people that are trying to take stuff from you. And I'm not going to email you and ask you for money. So just be careful.
Yeah, I'll put links to your official X profile, your YouTube in the description below for people to check that out. Thank you once again, Gary, for coming on and sharing your knowledge with the audience.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it very much.
And thank you for joining us today. As a reminder, this episode is sponsored by ARC Silver Gold Osmium. Visit their website at arcsgo.com and contact the owner, Ian Everard, today at 307-264-9441 or by email at ian@arcsgo.com for all of your precious metals needs. And be sure to tell him that Commodity Culture sent you. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Commodity Culture is a series on commodities and natural resources. If you would like to see more, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're always up to date with the latest episodes.